Doctors now agree, after 70, sleeping at the wrong time can quietly age your brain and weaken your heart. If you've been feeling more tired lately, or your sleep just isn't the same anymore, please don't assume it's simply old age. Maybe you fall asleep in your chair during the evening news, then find yourself wide awake at 3 a.m. Or maybe you sleep for 8 hours but wake up foggy, restless, or strangely unsteady. Here's the surprising truth. The problem may not be how long you sleep, but when you sleep. After 70, your body begins to follow a slightly different schedule, one that most people never realize has changed. Deep inside your brain lives a small cluster of cells known as the suprachiasmatic nucleus, your body's master clock. It's responsible for setting every rhythm you have: hunger, energy, temperature, and most importantly, sleep. And here's what scientists now know. After your 70th birthday, that internal clock starts running earlier. Your body begins releasing melatonin, the sleep hormone, as much as 90 minutes sooner than it used to. Meanwhile, cortisol, your natural wake-up signal, starts rising earlier in the morning. In other words, your biology is asking you to sleep earlier than you did before, but most people resist it. They feel sleepy around 8:30 or 9 p.m., glance at the clock and think, "It's too early, I'll just finish this show." So they push through the body's quiet request for rest. But by the time they finally go to bed, maybe 10:30, 11 or later, the body's golden hour for deep restoration has already passed. And that's when things begin to unravel. You might technically be asleep for 7 or 8 hours, but you lose the deep stages. The phase when your heart rate slows, your brain clears out toxins, and your cells actually repair themselves. That's why you can sleep all night and still wake up feeling like you never truly rested. Let me tell you about one of my patients, a 74-year-old woman named Eleanor Price. She was lively, loved gardening, and had been a night owl all her life. For years, she went to bed around 11:30, sometimes midnight, but she'd started waking up, drained, achy, and mentally scattered. "I don't understand," she said to me one morning. "I sleep the same hours I always have. Why do I feel half awake all day?" We reviewed her habits and discovered her body's natural rhythm had shifted nearly 2 hours earlier. Her brain was preparing for deep sleep around 9:15 each night, but she was pushing through it, wide awake under bright lights, TV on, melatonin fading. So I gave her one simple prescription. For the next month, be in bed by 9:30 p.m., lights dim, no screens, and no heavy meals after 7. She laughed. "That's for children," but agreed to try. When she returned 3 weeks later, her change was remarkable. Her face looked rested, her balance improved, and she said something I'll never forget. "I didn't know how much life I was losing by staying up late. I finally wake up clear again." Eleanor didn't take a single new pill. She didn't change her diet or buy a fancy mattress. She simply stopped fighting her body's clock and started sleeping with it. Her story is far from rare. Across the country, people in their 70s and 80s are quietly discovering that their sleep problems were never about bad luck or old age. They were about timing, the invisible shift that happens in everyone's internal rhythm with age. When you ignore that shift, you feel foggy and fatigued. When you honor it, your body rewards you with clarity, calm, and renewed energy. And here's what's even more fascinating. Leading researchers from Harvard, Mayo Clinic, and Johns Hopkins have recently pinpointed the exact window that gives seniors the deepest, most restorative sleep of all. A window most people miss every night. You've just heard how Eleanor's sleep and her energy transformed when she began honoring her body's new rhythm. But what exactly happens inside the body when you start going to bed earlier? Why does that 9 to 10 p.m. window seem to unlock such dramatic improvements in memory, mood, and health? Let's step inside the biology for a moment, not in a technical way, but in a way that makes sense for what you feel each day. After age 70, your circadian rhythm, your body's internal 24-hour clock, starts to advance. That means your hormones, body temperature, and cellular repair processes all shift slightly earlier in the day. Melatonin, the sleep hormone, begins to rise between 7:30 and 8:30 p.m. instead of 9:30 or 10:30 as it did decades before. Think of melatonin as nature's sunset signal. When it rises, your brain begins the process of shutting down alertness, slowing your pulse, and preparing for deep rest. But melatonin is like a train that doesn't wait long at the station. If you miss that early wave of drowsiness and push through it, your brain produces less melatonin later, and your sleep becomes lighter, more fragmented, and less restorative. That's why doctors now refer to 9 to 10 p.m. as the golden hour for older adults. It's the natural window when your body temperature, hormone levels, and brain chemistry align perfectly for deep sleep. When researchers at the Mayo Clinic tracked seniors who shifted their bedtime into this window, they saw something remarkable. Those who consistently went to bed between 9 and 10 p.m. had 45% better sleep quality, fewer nighttime awakenings, and notably higher energy scores during the day. It wasn't because they slept longer, it was because they slept smarter, in harmony with their body's timing. And it's not just about feeling rested. Early, well-timed sleep activates what neurologists call the glymphatic system, your brain's nighttime cleaning crew. This system flushes out cellular waste, including beta amyloid, the same protein that builds up in Alzheimer's disease. When you sleep at the wrong time, your brain misses much of that deep cleaning. But when you align with your natural bedtime, your brain has more time to sweep away what it doesn't need, preserving clarity and memory. One of my patients, Henry Lee, a 78-year-old former carpenter, learned this the hard way. For years he was proud of being a night owl. He liked his late TV shows and midnight snacks. But over time, he began to notice something unsettling. His memory faltered. He'd forget tools on the job, misplace his keys, even repeat stories to his grandchildren. "I thought I was slipping," he told me quietly one afternoon, like my brain was giving up on me. When we looked closer, nothing in his blood work or scans suggested disease, only chronic sleep disruption. I suggested he try what I call the 9:30 challenge. Every night, dim the lights at 8:30, read quietly, and aim to be asleep by 9:30. 3 weeks later, he came back with a small grin. He was remembering details again, little things like phone numbers, names, directions. He even noticed his balance improving during his morning walks. "Doc," he said, "I thought getting older meant getting duller. Turns out I was just staying up too late. This is what the golden hour does. It restores alignment between how you live and how your body now works. Between 9 and 10 p.m., your brain enters what scientists call stage N3, deep, slow-wave sleep, faster and more completely than at any other time. That's when blood flow increases to your muscles, growth hormones repair your tissues, and your heart rate and blood pressure drop to their healthiest overnight levels. If you delay bedtime until 11 or later, your brain can still rest, but it often skips much of this restorative stage, leaving you in light, surface-level sleep that feels unfulfilling no matter how long it lasts. In simple terms, sleep before 10 and your body heals. Sleep after 11 and it merely rests. So if you've been noticing lower energy, fuzzy thinking, or emotional flatness lately, consider this. Your body might be whispering for rest long before you listen. The golden hour isn't just a number on the clock. It's your biology's way of saying now. And once you begin honoring that natural signal, something profound happens. Your body starts to heal in advance of fatigue. But the most remarkable part of this discovery isn't just better sleep. It's what early, aligned rest does to the rest of your health. You might think sleep is simply rest, a pause in life's activity. But for those in their 70s and beyond, the right kind of sleep is far more than that. It's medicine, and what makes that medicine effective isn't how long you sleep, but when. Doctors used to believe the body repaired itself steadily throughout the night. Now, research from Harvard, Mayo Clinic, and Johns Hopkins shows something very different. Most of your body's healing, physical, mental, and emotional, happens within the first few hours of sleep, and those hours are only activated if you fall asleep during your body's natural repair window. That window, between 9 and 10 p.m. When older adults shift bedtime into that hour, the effects ripple through the entire body in ways many never expect. 1. Your heart finally rests and repairs itself. During early deep sleep, your blood pressure drops naturally. Your heart rate slows. Your blood vessels widen slightly, allowing your heart muscle to relax and recover from the day's workload. When bedtime is delayed past 10 or 11 p.m., the body often misses that deep cardiovascular reset, and the heart stays in a mild state of strain through the night. In one long-term Mayo Clinic study, adults over 70 who routinely slept between 9 and 10 p.m. saw a 45% lower risk of heart-related problems compared to those who stayed up late. Their resting heart rates improved, their morning blood pressure readings stabilized, and many required fewer medications under their doctor's guidance. One gentleman I recall, George Patel, 75, said it best. "I didn't realize how tired my heart was until it started beating easy again." He'd struggled with mild arrhythmia for years, but within 2 months of honoring that earlier sleep window, his rhythm steadied, his energy returned, and even his morning walks became easier. 2. Your memory clears and sharpens. Sleep at the right time isn't just about the body, it's about the brain. During those first hours of deep sleep, your brain activates the glymphatic system, a network that washes away toxins and waste proteins that accumulate during waking hours. Among those toxins is beta-amyloid, the sticky substance linked to Alzheimer's disease and memory decline. When you go to bed at 9:30, your glymphatic system begins its work at full strength. When you delay sleep past 11, that process is cut short, leaving behind what the brain was trying to remove. I once treated Margaret Liu, a retired nurse in her late 70s, who worried she was losing her sharpness. She forgot small things, where she placed her reading glasses, the names of neighbors, simple recipes she'd made for decades. Rather than medication, we adjusted her rhythm. She started winding down at 8:30, asleep by 9:30 every night. 3 weeks later, she reported something striking. "My mornings feel clear again, like my mind wakes up before the world does." Her improvement was later confirmed in simple cognitive tests. No pills, just timing. 3. Your mood and energy rebalance. Naturally, few people realize how profoundly sleep timing affects emotional health. In the early night hours, your brain balances 2 critical hormones, serotonin and cortisol. Serotonin lifts your mood, cortisol helps you handle stress. When sleep is delayed, cortisol stays elevated longer, leaving you restless, irritable, or anxious the next day. In our clinic's survey of over 500 adults aged 70 to 85, those who shifted bedtime into the 9 to 10 p.m. window reported 58% fewer symptoms of anxiety and low mood within 2 months. It wasn't therapy or medication, it was biology aligning itself. One woman, Ruth Delgado, described it beautifully. "I still have worries, but when I sleep early, they don't weigh me down. They just wait until morning." That's the quiet gift of sleep when it happens at the right time. The mind doesn't erase life's problems, it simply gains the strength to meet them with calm. So, what's truly happening inside you when you sleep early? Your blood pressure drops, your brain cleans itself, your heart regains rhythm, and your emotions regain balance. It's like a nightly orchestra, each system playing in harmony, but only if the conductor begins on time. And yet, the magic of early sleep doesn't stop there, because once you know how vital timing is, the next question naturally appears: how do I actually make this habit stick? That's what we'll explore next. 5 gentle, doctor-endorsed bedtime habits that help your body slide naturally into the golden hour every night, and wake with the kind of energy most people think is long gone. By now, you've learned that the secret to powerful, healing sleep after 70 isn't complicated. it's timing. But if you've lived for decades on a later schedule, shifting that clock can feel easier said than done. The good news is, you don't need harsh routines or expensive gadgets to make your body cooperate. You just need to send your body the right signals, small, kind reminders that it's time to rest. Here are 5 gentle, doctor-approved habits that help older adults slip naturally into deep, restorative sleep between 9 and 10 p.m. every night. 1. Dim the lights. Let your body know night has begun. Light is the single most powerful cue your brain receives. Bright light, especially the blue kind from TVs, phones and LED bulbs, tells your body, stay awake. But soft, warm light tells it, you're safe. You can rest. Try this. About an hour before bed, lower the brightness around your home. Turn off overhead lights and use a lamp with a warm bulb instead. If you enjoy reading, choose a small, amber-tinted light. When Barbara Quinn, age 73, began this habit, she told me, "It's like my body recognizes bedtime before I even realize I'm tired." Within 2 weeks, she was falling asleep 40 minutes earlier, without even trying. 2. Skip late caffeine and heavy meals. Many people don't realize how long caffeine lingers. A single cup of coffee at 3 p.m. can still be in your system by 9 or 10 at night, quietly keeping your brain on alert. Even dark chocolate or green tea can interfere with your body's melatonin production. Try to make your last full meal at least 3 hours before bedtime, ideally by 6:30 p.m. Late dinners, especially those high in fat or spice, can force your digestive system to keep working when it should be winding down. If you're hungry before bed, choose a light, soothing option, a small bowl of oatmeal, half a banana, or a few almonds. And here's something interesting. Foods rich in magnesium and casein, like a spoonful of cottage cheese or a few bites of Greek yogurt, actually support deeper sleep. That's because casein releases amino acids slowly, feeding your muscles through the night, while magnesium calms tense nerves. 3. Create a wind-down ritual, the bridge to sleep. Think of bedtime not as a switch, but as a bridge, one that gently carries you from the day's rhythm into night's stillness. Children have bedtime routines, stories, baths, soft songs. Adults need them too. Choose one calming ritual and make it your signal to rest. It could be 20 minutes of reading something light, journaling about one moment of gratitude, or listening to quiet instrumental music. When you do this consistently, your brain begins to associate these cues with sleep, producing melatonin more easily and predictably. One of my favorite patients, Samuel Ortiz, age 80, started brewing a small pot of chamomile tea at 8:30 every night. He'd sip it while looking out at the stars for a few minutes. No phone, no news. He once said with a smile, "It's not tea anymore, Doc. It's my body's invitation to rest for." Step away from screens, give your mind space. The light from screens tells your eyes it's noon, even if it's midnight. Phones, tablets and TV screens all emit short wavelength blue light that delays melatonin release by up to 90 minutes. So, if you can, turn off screens at least 30 to 60 minutes before bed. If that feels impossible, use that time for something tactile, folding laundry, light stretching, or simply sitting quietly with a warm drink. In studies, seniors who stopped using screens 1 hour before bedtime not only fell asleep faster, but also reported more vivid dreams and clearer mornings, both signs of restored deep sleep. Your mind deserves silence after a full day of stimulation. When you give it that peace, sleep comes not as a chore, but as a reward. 5. Honor the golden hour. Sleep between 9 and 10 p.m. This is the cornerstone habit, and perhaps the simplest of all. Your body's melatonin levels peak around 9:30 p.m. in your 70s and 80s. That's your built-in invitation. When you catch that first wave of drowsiness and allow yourself to go to bed then, you're riding nature's rhythm, not fighting it. For most older adults, this one change, being in bed, lights off, between 9 and 10 p.m., leads to noticeably deeper, longer, and calmer sleep within 3 weeks. If you're used to staying up late, shift gradually. Move bedtime earlier by 15 minutes every few nights until you settle naturally around 9:30. Your body will thank you with clearer mornings, steadier balance, and calmer emotions. When you add these 5 simple habits together, something beautiful happens. Sleep stops feeling like an unpredictable stranger and starts feeling like a trusted friend again. And here's the deeper truth. Once your body begins to rest in rhythm, every other system follows: your heart, your digestion, even your memory. Because in the end, sleep isn't just rest. It's reconnection between your body and the quiet wisdom it still carries. At this stage of life, rest isn't a luxury. It's how the body says thank you for all the years it has carried you. Yet so many people over 70 still treat sleep like an afterthought, something to fit in after one more show, one more phone call, one more task. But when you truly understand what happens inside you during those quiet nighttime hours, how your heart steadies, your brain clears, and your emotions soften, sleep stops being something you have to do. It becomes something you get to do. I think often of a man named Arthur Bennett, an 82-year-old widower who came to see me after losing his wife. He couldn't sleep more than a few hours each night. "I just lie there," he told me, listening to the clock tick. "It's too quiet." We didn't talk about pills or sleep aids. Instead, we talked about rhythm, about finding peace through pattern. I asked him to treat bedtime as a ritual of gratitude instead of loneliness. Each night at 9 p.m, he would dim the lights, make a cup of warm milk with cinnamon, and write down one kind memory from his day, even something as small as a smile from a neighbor. 3 weeks later, Arthur said something that touched me deeply. "I stopped counting hours. I started counting blessings. And now I fall asleep before the clock even matters." That's what healing sleep looks like. Not forced, not fought, but welcomed. The same body that once hurried through decades of busy days still knows how to rest. It just needs permission. So tonight, when that first wave of drowsiness comes, around 8:30 or 9 p.m, try something simple. Don't fight it. Don't tell yourself it's too early. Let that tiredness be your body's gentle whisper. You've done enough today. If you listen, you'll notice something miraculous. Your breathing slows, your thoughts soften, and before you know it, sleep arrives, not as an intruder, but as an old friend who's been waiting for you to come home. Because that's what this stage of life is really about, not chasing time, but aligning with it. When you honor your body's rhythm, you're not giving up your evenings, you're giving your mornings and your years more strength, more calm, and more clarity. So, if you remember one thing from this entire message, let it be this. After 70, the most powerful medicine you can take doesn't come from a bottle. It comes from the quiet decision to rest when your body asks you to, usually between 9 and 10 p.m. That's the golden hour of life's renewal. It's never too late to feel better. It's never too late to wake refreshed, think clearly, or feel steady on your feet again. And it's certainly never too late to give your body the care it's been quietly asking for all along. If this message helped you understand your body a little better, or reminded you of someone you care about, please share it with them. Because sometimes a small piece of knowledge, shared at the right moment, can change someone's entire health journey. And if you believe that knowledge can save lives, subscribe and stay with us. Together, we'll keep uncovering the quiet truths that help us age with strength, clarity, and peace.